Today's topic of discussion is theory of demand. We have to first understand what is the meaning of this demand. We have already studied the theory of consumer equilibrium, where the consumer requires the goods and services to satisfy his wants. So demand is simply a desire or a willingness. Willingness to buy a good or a commodity at certain price and at a certain period of time. Okay, it means that a desire or a willingness of a consumer to buy a particular good at a given price and a given period of time. Like suppose in this particular period of time, say in this month, this marker is offered to me for ₹30, and if I am having this desire to buy it at ₹30, why will I have this desire? If it can fulfill my need, if any of my need is fulfilled. So this concept, this particular quantity is known as the demand. The quantity of a commodity which the buyer is willing to buy at a given price and a given period of time, right? But just understand one thing, that this word only shows the desire of a particular buyer, right? Another important term is effective demand. When this desire is backed by the willingness to pay and ability to pay. Right? You may have a desire to say have a Mercedes car, may want it, but it becomes demand or effective demand only when you have the willingness to pay, that is you are ready to pay for it, and obviously you have the ability to pay. Both the things should be present, and then it will be known as effective demand or the actual demand. Under this chapter, when we study demand, we actually refer to the effective demand. Means the consumer is having the ability to pay for the particular units of the good, and he also is willing to pay for the goods. Now, after understanding the meaning of demand, next topic that we have to study is the demand function. Function, whenever you find this word, you just have to remember that it is the functional relation between a variable and factors affecting it. Why I am writing this particular definition or this line here on the board is that you have to remember that whenever the definition of a function is asked, or what is a function is asked, then you should remember that it is simply the relationship between whatever function it is and the factors which are affecting it. Like you may have demand function, you may have supply function, you may have cost function. It is simply in case of demand function, it is simply the functional relationship between, instead of the variable, demand and the factors affecting it. Suppose it would have been supply function, so it would be functional relationship between supply and the factors affecting it, right? Or they are also known as its determinants. Another term that you can use is the determinants, means what factors determine the particular variable, right? So now we are going to study the factors on which the demand is depending. This is known as the equation of demand function, that is dx is the function of, or demand depends on, px, pz, t, expectations and income of the buyer. These are 5 basic determinants of demand which affect the demand for a commodity, right? So now we will study them in detail. First is px, that is price of the commodity. Again, one thing is to be taken care of, that whenever we are studying the demand, any function, and suppose you are studying this determinant, so it is assumed that all others are constant, right? Suppose I'll study the relation between Pz and dx, then I'll assume that Px and all remaining three are constant, right? That you have to remember. This factor says, this determinant says that there is an inverse relation between the price of the good and its demand. Right? We have already studied what is the inverse relation. Simply you can understand, if this particular marker was sold to me for 30 rupees, I was willing to buy it. Maybe if it is sold to me for 50 rupees or 60 rupees, I may not be ready to buy it. I may buy a better commodity or some other commodity, right? So if the price of the commodity rises, then the demand for that commodity decreases, right? There is an inverse relation. Then this particular law can be derived even from the consumer equilibrium that we will study later on. But you have to simply understand that once the price rises, then the people's ability to buy the commodity also decreases. And you remember that for the demand, the ability to pay and willingness to pay are also necessary, right?
So the price will increase, then demand will decrease, na?
Yes. Okay, then this particular function between the demand of the commodity and its price is also known as the law of demand. Law of demand it states that there is an inverse relationship between price of a commodity and its demand, and remember other factors remaining constant. It can also be known as ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus simply means other things remaining constant. Right, so if you are asked what is law of demand, simply it states that there is an inverse relation between price and demand, other things remaining constant. Then it can also be represented in the form of a demand curve. Demand curve is defined as the graphical representation of law of demand. Okay, again there is an objective behind writing this particular definition on the board, that if you are asked any curve is always graphical representation of certain information, right? So demand curve is a graphical representation of the law of demand, right? Or it simply shows you that there is an inverse relation between demand and price of the commodity. As we have already discussed that if there is an inverse relation between the two variables, then the curve would be downward sloping. So the demand curve is also downward sloping curve. It says suppose 100 units of a commodity are bought at the price of 10. If the price rises to say 12, see 80 units are demanded. भाई डिस्टर्ब होता है यार. And if the price falls to 8, the demand rises to 120. So this is simply representing the law of demand. Then we will study about contraction and expansion later on. So if it is a question is of supply curve, you can simply say that it is graphical representation of law of supply. Just have to remember that this is graphical representation of the law of demand. Similarly, next thing that we have to study is a demand schedule. Demand schedule is again the tabular representation of the law of demand. Right? Tabular means in the form of a table or numbers. Or simply schedule, you already know schedule is representation in the numerical form. Okay, we can simply see that as the price of a commodity is rising, the demand is falling. Okay, you can make any schedule. Just you have to remember that if price is rising, then demand should fall, and vice versa, right? This is a demand schedule. Actually, these definitions of demand schedule, demand curve, they can be asked in 1 mark question, and the representation also may be asked in 1 mark question, right? So you have to just keep these concepts in mind. Next we move on to the second determinant, that is PZ. It is the price of related goods. First we have to understand what are related goods. Related goods are the goods which you may use along with a commodity or maybe in place of a commodity, right? They can be classified as substitute goods, and complementary goods. So that means there are two related goods, substitute and complementary. Substitute are those goods which can be placed in, which can be used in place of other. You can replace them. Like say tea and coffee. Or maybe say Coke and Pepsi. If you don't get one, you can take the other one, right? While complementary goods, technically substitute goods are the goods which satisfy the same human want. The technical word is which satisfy the same human want. They are known as substitutes. Complementary goods which are required together to satisfy a given human want. For example, say your car and petrol. Say bread and butter. Say shoe and socks, right? Mobile and cell.
Tea or coffee with a
After understanding the meaning of the substitute and complementary goods, now we will see that how they are related to the demand for the commodity. Just remember one thing, we are studying the relation of demand with price of the related good. Just to remember this, don't get confused. Demand is of different good and price is of a different good. Say first we understand the relation between the price of the substitute. Say we take two goods, tea and coffee. Say price of tea was say 5 per cup. Price of coffee was say 7 per cup. At certain point of time 150 people are buying it, and at certain point of time say 80 people are buying it. Now suppose the price of tea remaining same, but price of coffee falls. Say now price of coffee is say 6 per cup. What should happen to the demand for coffee? Should rise. Demand should rise. Maybe now say 100 people want to buy it, right? These 20 people are the ones who were earlier buying the tea, right? They have moved on to buy the coffee. So it means now the demand is only 130 units. We can see that dx falls when the px rises. When the px also falls. Okay, so there is a direct relation between pz and dx. When pz is a substitute good, it means that if there will be fall in the price of say like the same example, in the price of coffee, the demand for tea will also fall. Same direction, direct relation between the two good, the price and the demand. Again and again I am repeating that you have to remember that you are studying this. Demand is of the different good and price is of the different good, right? Otherwise you might get confused during the question and answers. So take notice of this point. Then next we have to understand how dx is affected by the change in the price of the complementary good. So again we take two goods, bread and butter. This time the complementary goods which are used together. Say price of butter being bread being 15 units and quantity being say 100 units. Whereas the price of butter being say 50 rupees and quantity say being 25 units. Now suppose the price of bread rises, or we can increase the price of this, we take as a substitute good, complementary good. The price rises and becomes 60, right? It means less people can buy the butter. So maybe the quantity is now say 20 units. So now these 5 people who are unable to buy the butter will not buy bread also, right? So it means the quantity decreases, or you can say dx decreases when pz rises. So it means there is an inverse relation between pz and dx when pz is the price of the complementary good. Okay, question can be framed like this also, that price fall in price of one commodity leads to rise in the demand for other commodity. So how are they related? So you just have to see the relation. If there is inverse relation, they are complementary goods. If there is a direct relation, they are substitute goods, right? Okay, next third determinant is Y, that is income of the buyer. Okay, so how the income of a buyer affects the demand? For understanding this, we first have to understand that there are two kind of goods: normal goods and inferior goods. Okay, first thing that we have to make clear is that it is not that a particular good is known a normal good or as an inferior good due to its characteristic. It is not like this. It depends on the income of the consumer. We'll just take an example so that we can understand. Suppose you, me, we want to buy a car. So maybe for us, say Maruti Swift is a normal good, maybe Scorpio, maybe some other car, right? Around 10 lakh, 12 lakh or 8 lakhs. A normal car, I can buy it. But if you talk about money, he wants to buy a car. For him, maybe say Audi is a normal good and Swift is an inferior good. Okay, so it is clear that nothing to do with the quality, right? Depends on the income of the buyer. And simply inferior goods are those goods which are often consumed by the poor people. Those goods we consider as the inferior goods, right? These are by the normal income groups, that is middle and high income group. And it is consumed by the low income group, the poor people, right? So generally they are of low quality because they are consumed by the people who have lower incomes. So what happens when a person is buying an inferior good and if his income rises, then he tries to switch over to the normal good, right? For the normal goods it is simple relation, there is a direct relation. More your income, more will be the demand, direct relation. But after learning the meaning of the inferior goods, we come to know that it is also possible that when the income of a person rises, he reduces the demand for the good, and that type of good is known as the inferior good, right? If suppose your income rises many times, maybe lakhs, maybe crores, then for you again Swift may become a inferior good, right? Depends on the income. So here we have the inverse relation. It means that as the income of the buyer increases, he reduces the demand of the inferior goods. Why he does this? Because he wants to switch over to the normal goods, better goods. So when you are asked to explain that how income is a determinant of demand, you need to explain both. You need to explain the normal goods as well as the inferior goods. Even diagram can be used to explain them. Then next is your Okay, now we have to understand the fourth determinant, that is T, or taste and preference of a consumer towards a commodity. If the taste and preference are favorable, then consumer will demand more, and unfavorable, consumer will demand less. Favorable means simply you can understand, like if you see a particular celebrity wearing a certain type of t-shirt, then you start liking it. Favorable taste and preference. Demand will rise in the market. Unfavorable, like for the old orthodox television, the box type, the demand has fallen out of fashion, right? Unfavorable taste and preference. So if a question is asked regarding this, you have to mention that if there is favorable taste and preference, then demand will rise, and during unfavorable taste and preference, demand would fall. The last is expectation regarding future price. Or it can also be known as speculation. Simply means that what the consumer feels of regarding the changes in the price in near future. Suppose the consumer feels that there will be rise in the price of the commodity in the near future, so he will buy more at present. And if you suppose you go to buy tomato, today you are getting it for 20 rupees per kg. And the seller tells you that it will be 30 rupees kg by tomorrow, so you may buy 2 kgs instead of 1. While if the consumer feels that there will be fall in the price of the commodity in near future, he would buy less at present. Only quantity sufficient to satisfy the present need. Will wait for the prices to fall in near future, right? Suppose again the same example, if you come to know that from tomorrow the price of your potatoes would be 10 rupees per kg, you may buy only half kg for today, right? Okay, so just a quick review. We studied the demand function, right? Where this was the equation of demand function. Dx is function of the Px, Pz, income, expectation, and taste and preference. These are the determinants of demand, and in detail we studied how they influence the demand for a commodity, right? So the question may be framed from here. There are many chances, 3 to 4 more questions you will get from the determinants of demand, right? So you have to just remember important concept. Okay, then next topic of our discussion is the changes in demand. They can be broadly classified into movement and shift. You have to remember that both are the changes in the demand. Movement is the change only due to the change in the price of the commodity. While other factors remaining constant. While shift is the change in demand due to the change in other factors. भाई डिस्टर्ब हो रहा है यार. While price remaining constant, right? Always remember, for representing the movement, we use the word quantity demanded. Okay, this is the term which will always, whenever it is associated with demand, quantity demanded, always refers to the movement. And when the word is used simply as demand or simply as quantity, then it refers to the shift in demand. Or you simply can understand that movement is simply the representation of the law of demand, right? Other factors remaining same. So first we will study about the movement. Again, there can be two type of movements. Upward and downward, or contraction expansion, or I can call is that increase in, sorry, this would be known as decrease in quantity demanded. This would be known as increase in quantity demanded. Remember I told you that this word quantity demanded always refers to the movement, right? So now you can see these words, it is upward movement or downward movement, or upward movement can also be known as contraction in demand and decrease in quantity demanded, while downward movement can also be known as expansion in demand or increase in the quantity demanded. It simply means the rise in demand, the fall in demand due to rise in price. You have to remember, fall in demand due to the rise in price, because demand will fall only when the price will rise, the law of demand, right? And here the cause is the fall in demand, sorry, fall in price. That is when demand rises due to the fall in price. It is known as, if you want to define downward movement, it will be when the demand rises due to fall in price. Expansion same, increase in quantity same, all have the same definition. Question can also be asked in the other way around, that what is the cause of downward movement of demand, or what is the cause of expansion in demand. So answer will be only fall in price, right? For contraction, the cause will only be rise in price, because just remember that other factors are constant. Then diagrammatically we can represent the movement and the upward and downward movement of demand, or on a demand curve. You simply have to draw a demand curve, which we already saw in the case of law of demand. Again, x-axis representing the quantity demanded, y-axis representing the price. You can see as the price rises, quantity falls, and as the price falls, quantity rises, right? So this is expansion, from point A to point B is expansion or downward movement. Right, downward, moving towards the x-axis. Then from point A to point C, we have contraction or upward movement. So again, you can just see that definitions are all satisfied, right? It is the rise in demand due to the fall in price. It is the fall in demand due to the rise in price, and the direction is again naming them downward and upward, down and up. Next we have to talk about the shift in demand. Again, shift can be of two types: rightward shift and leftward shift. Rightward shift can also be known as forward increase in demand or forward shift. While leftward shift can be known as decrease in demand or backward shift. Remember the word shift, what it is saying, that curve will shift from its place, right? In the moment it is only moving. The points are moving on the same curve. Here the curve will shift itself, right? It means that both will have two curves. First understand the meaning. Rightward shift, other names. First you have to just remember their other names. What are their other names, right? Now we will have to study in detail what does a rightward shift mean and what does a leftward shift mean. First we talk about the rightward shift. See, there are actually two situations possible when you can call as a change as a rightward shift. First is that when more is demanded at same price. Means price doesn't change, quantity increases, right? Second is same is demanded at a higher price. Again, you just have to understand the first point is very easy to understand. Demand increases even at the given price. Second one is that price of a commodity rises, but still the consumer doesn't reduce its demand, right? So it cannot be shown or it cannot be called as movement. You cannot call it as expansion either as contraction. So it is always part of the rightward shift. It simply indicates that if the price would have been same, the demand would have increased. The consumer is either liking the product or maybe he is expecting the prices to rise in future because all the other factors may be the reason, right? So this is the basic meaning. If you are asked what is rightward shift, these two things need to be mentioned. When more is demanded at the same price or same is demanded at a higher price. We'll discuss their causes also, right? But the basic meaning should be clear. What does it mean? Then diagrammatically again it can be represented. In your books maybe you get an incomplete diagram. You should pay attention how the diagram is to be drawn. Right? And you have another demand curve. So on the diagram you can see I have two demand curves. One is my original demand curve which is showing me the original price OP and original quantity OQ. Now suppose my demand rises when the price remains same. Right? It is showing me the first condition of the rightward shift. कहाँ पर यहीं पे खत्म हुई है? First condition is shown. Now another point where the price rises but still the demand remains same, right? If it would have been movement, then quantity should have been this Q1 lying on the same curve, but the quantity did not decrease, so it means demand is lying on the other curve or curve towards the right. You can see it is shifting towards the right or it is moving forward, so it is also known as moving forward and also known as the increase in demand. This is a diagrammatic representation. In your book you might have only this much. Right? These conditions are not drawn. Means showing only the first condition, but you have to be careful to draw both the conditions. Okay, now we can study the causes. What may be the causes? Causes are actually all the factors, all the determinant except the price. Maybe due to the change in any of these factors, right? First could be rise in the income. If the income of the buyer has increased, then he will buy more even at a higher price, or he may buy more at the same price. Then rise in the price of substitute. Maybe the price of the substitute has increased, so he starts buying more at the same price. Like if coffee becomes more expensive, maybe more people start buying tea without the price of tea being changed. Similarly, fall in the price of complementary goods. Then it could be favorable taste and preference. Could be expectation of rise in price in future. So these may be the reasons for the rightward shift. So if you are asked a question, state any one cause of increase in demand or rightward shift or forward shift, any one of them may be the reason, right? But for movement part, only one reason is there, that is the price, no other reason, and here you do not have the price. And for the leftward shift, they will be opposite. Fall in income, rise in the price of fall in the price of substitute good, rise in the price of complementary good, unfavorable, and so on, right? So next we will study the leftward shift. Leftward shift means that again it has two parts. Less is demanded at same price. And same is demanded at a lower price. Right? If the consumer decreases his demand at the same price, or even if the price falls, then also it doesn't buy the commodity. Like again you can remember the example of the television set. The box type, right? The price has fallen by many folds, right? If you had to buy it when it was in taste and preference, or when it was in fashion, it was around 14, 15, even 20,000. Now you get it for 5,000, then also you don't buy it, right? So even the price has decreased, but the demand is not increasing. Demand is not neither same, it has actually decreased. Again, this also can be represented with the help of a diagram. Again you can see this is my original demand curve, DD, this is the original quantity, this is the original price. Suppose the quantity decreases at the same price, then it is the first condition, and joining it from here you get the second condition, right? First condition is when less is demanded at the same price, and second is when same is demanded at the lower price. The cause is again just the opposite of the rightward shift. रोक दे यार इतना, कितने बजे है? After discussing the meaning of demand, the movement in demand and shift in demand, now we have to understand why does the demand curve slope downward, or why more is demanded at a lower price or less is demanded at a higher price, or simply the reason behind the law of demand, right? This is a topic which can be asked in 6-mark question. Okay, there are 4 important points, or simply just see what we have to do is we have to prove the law of demand. We have to prove that if price will increase, demand will decrease, right? First is the law of DMU. It is related to one commodity case. Second is income effect. Third is substitution effect. Last is new consumers, or it is related to affordability. Okay, so if a 6-mark question is asked regarding this, prove the law of demand or why does demand curve slope downward, to explain all these 4 points. These are the 4 important points which prove the law of demand, right? Now we will study them in detail. First is the law of DMU. Remember, the law of DMU says that as you consume more and more of a commodity, marginal utility of that commodity, suppose the commodity is X, MUX will decrease. And also the one commodity case says that to be in equilibrium, a consumer has to consume a commodity till MUX is equal to PX, right? Now suppose there is a fall in price. It would create a situation where MUX is more than PX, while if there is a rise in price, it will lead to situation MUX less than PX, right? And a rational consumer will always try to achieve the equilibrium. Now if this situation has arisen, then he needs to decrease the marginal utility, because he cannot decrease the price of the commodity, right? Price is decided by the market. For that he needs to consume more. If he will increase the consumption of X, only then the marginal utility can decrease according to the law of DMU. So it means if the price of the commodity falls, the consumer increases the consumption of that commodity, or you can say he increases the demand of that commodity. And this is what I am trying to prove, right? Same vice versa situation here. Now in this case he has to increase the marginal utility, right? And you know marginal utility can increase when he consumes lesser units of the commodity. Remember the schedule of marginal utility. When he decreases the consumption, marginal utility will increase, right? So simply, to explain this point, you have to tell that what is law of DMU. Then you have to state that consumer's equilibrium lies at this point. Rise in price would lead to this, and vice versa. You can simply write vice versa would lead to this, right? And see, you can also use these type of flowcharts in your answers. Not a problem if you use them. But remember, you should explain also little bit about each and every point. Then second is the income effect. How is it a cause for the law of demand? Before understanding that, we must understand what is this income effect. See, it says it is the relative rise. The term relative means comparative. Okay, comparative rise in the income of a buyer, which he feels if there is a fall in price of a commodity. We can understand it a little better. Suppose a person has 100 rupees with him, income is 100, and he has to buy, say, commodity X, say rice, say 10 units of 10 kgs of rice, and the price of rice is, say, 3 rupee per kg. Right? So it means in order to buy this commodity, he needs to spend 30 rupees. So after spending this 30 rupees, he will have 70 rupees left with him, or this is known as the purchasing power. Purchasing power or the purchasing capacity, or it is also known as the real income. You can also call it as the real income. Now see, if the price of this commodity falls, say the price comes to rupees 2 per kg, then what will happen? In order to buy 10 units of the commodity, consumer will need to spend 20 rupees. So his real income is now 80. Okay, so if the price of the commodity falls, there is a relative rise in the income of the consumer which he feels. Though there is no change in the income remains 100, but comparatively in both the cases this real income has increased. So now this increased real income can be used to buy more goods. Okay, maybe the same good or maybe some other good, right? So again I am able to prove that if price will decrease, then real income of the consumer will rise and he will buy more of the commodity. Again I have proved law of demand and vice versa. If the price would have risen, then real income would have decreased. Again, when you are explaining this point, then you have to mention what is the meaning of real income effect. It is the relative rise in the price of the income of a consumer which he feels due to fall in the price of the goods and vice versa. Then you can just give an example and explain it. Or you can theoretically write that fall in the prices leads to rise in the real income of the buyer, which increases his purchasing power, that can be used to buy more units of the same good or maybe some other good. Then third is the substitution effect. Again remember, the substitute goods is just the effect of the price of rise in or fall in the price of one commodity on its substitute. Substitution effect again is a relative rise in the price of a commodity which a consumer feels due to fall in price of its substitute. You can just understand the meaning. It is a relative rise in price of one commodity which a consumer feels because the price of its substitute has decreased. For example, suppose you are consuming Coke and its substitute Pepsi also costs the same price, say 20 rupees. But now suppose, so for you both are equal, but suppose now price of Pepsi falls to 18, then you might think of consuming Coke because you will feel that consuming Pepsi, because you will feel that now Coke is relatively expensive, though the price of Coke has not changed, right? So this again proves that if the price of a commodity rises, the consumer will shift over to the substitute good. And if the price of the commodity falls, then the people who were buying the substitute, who were earlier buying the substitute, will shift to buy this commodity. So demand for this commodity will rise, right? So again I am able to prove it. Remember what I have to prove? The law of demand, that if price will fall, demand will rise. So for explaining this particular point, you will have to mention the definition, what the definition is, what the meaning is. Then you can take an example and explain. You can take the example of tea and coffee. Like suppose tea becomes expensive, then people will feel that coffee has become relatively cheaper and they start increase the consumption of coffee. Then next fourth point is related to the affordability or new consumers. Better it can be called as affordability. You know what is affordability? Affordability is ability to buy the commodity. Suppose you want to buy a commodity whose price is rupees 1000, so you should have at least 1000 rupees with you, right? That is the affordability. Now let's take an example. Suppose the price of any commodity is say rupees 100, and in a particular city, take a city, take a economy, take a village, anything, say there are 500 people who have this money, who have 100 rupees with them, right? Now suppose the price of this commodity comes to 98. Then what do you think? Okay, so now see, suppose the price of this commodity falls to 98. Now what do you think? The number of people who can buy it should be more than 500 or less than 500? Obviously more than 500, because now the people who are having 98 rupees or 98.1 up till 99, then same till 100, till who had 99.9 rupees earlier with them, could not buy this commodity because its price was 100. So now you have more number of people who can buy the commodity. Maybe now say 600 people. So fall in the price of a commodity increases its affordability. While rise in the price of a commodity decreases the fall in the price, affordability rises, rise in the price, affordability will decrease. So again we have proved that if price will fall, more people can buy the commodity, and while if the price rises, then less people can buy the commodity, so there will be a fall in demand, right? This is a very important topic. And one more important question that may be asked from you is, derive the law of demand through one commodity case. Of consumer equilibrium or utility analysis, right? So answer to this is a very important board question, 3 to 4 marks. Many times has been asked. So you have to again simply explain the first reason for the downward sloping demand curve. The first point that we discussed, right? Law of DMU. That will be the answer for derivation of the law of demand. So there what I am doing, I am proving MUX is equal to PX, that is the equilibrium. When price rises, I am explaining the situation, okay? So it is how we derive the law of demand from the one commodity case, right? Okay, then we have studied the law of demand, and law of demand has certain exceptions. or you can call them as the failures where the law of demand fails. Right? Law of demand fails means where rise in price leads to rise in demand while fall in price leads to fall in demand, right? The first situation of exception is demonstration effect. Often referred to as Veblen effect, right? Also known as the Veblen effect. It says that when the price of the commodity rises, then some people who consider it as an status symbol, the high income group, right? They may like to buy it. Like a person like Ambani. Okay, he may be willing to buy, or he may be ready to buy a car if it is the most expensive in the world. Right, so these are those goods whose demand increases with the increase in their prices because they are status symbol, like diamond jewelries, all these things which a person uses to represent or show off his status in the society, right? Then second is in case of the inferior goods. We have already discussed them in detail, right? These are those goods which have the negative income elasticity. We'll study about the elasticity in the next topic, but simply it means that they are negatively related with income. And same with the prices. If their prices rise, then their demand would also rise. While if their prices fall, then their demand will also fall. Because if the price will fall, then consumer will try to switch over to the other commodity, right? Because he can afford, affordability will increase, income effect, right? If price of a inferior good is falling, then your affordability will rise, so you can afford better quality goods, right? Okay, then it can be in case of emergencies. There was a flood in the what do you call it? Kedarnath, right? Kedarnath. So there, I had one of the person who was caught in that particular tragedy. So he told me that there a bottle of water, Bisleri bottle, was selling for rupees 500. I did not believe him in the first instance, but then I came to know that yes, it was done. Why was it done? Because it was an emergency. People were not having any water to drink. Like in case of floods, droughts, earthquakes, the price of the essential commodities will rise. Because whatever money you have with you, you will be ready to pay for it, right? Basic necessities. So all these floods, man-made or natural, they may be man-made or natural. Like war also. Even in the case of war, the prices would rise. चलो हो गया, डिमांड पूरा हो गया ना.